It looks like the internet finally works, so I thought I'd go ahead and start a stream. Are we streaming? Make sure, yeah. And just review some of the work that's going to be coming up over the next year, if not less, and how that would relate to people who are watching the stream. First of all, you should be able to count on more live streams going forward. So far, everything seems to be okay. I have got a hard line into the internet now, so I don't imagine this apartment complex we live in is full of people with internet. So it's impossible to even to get a good 5G line on here. It's gonna be a heyday if I ever actually wanted to try to break into Wi-Fi. No, I'm not gonna do that. Too much to do. Speaking of which, so just to recap, I've been reconsidering how to get going with a couple of efforts here. So I've got three major efforts underway that don't count Hagen, and they are. So we have the RWX effort, which is documenting. It's basically a big knowledge base. Uh, we have Skill Stack, which is what my personal mentoring business, and it's been going really well. And then how do I balance these two plus the pagan effort that we've been doing. But and among all of this, something that's been kind of emerging is the requirement to do a book. And I've been talking about doing a book for 7 years. I've started a book. I bought Scrivener. I was starting to do it there. Every single time I start to write a book, I get annoyed by all the tools for writing books and how horrible they are and how unusable they are. And so that always leads me back to studying, the making Pagan, making Easy Mark, and creating a format. And no, don't tell me Gitbook is a good thing. It sucks. Make all website link. Hi, do you want to have all these links? So yeah, we have HTTPS rwx.gg is the one. My personal blog, which is very ranty and very personal. This is like literally what's ever on my mind. I call it notes, and then I have Skill Stack. So this is kind of a discussion about the future of that, but more importantly, about what I anticipate will probably be a book or two in the mix. So just to recap my plans here. So in fact, I might even write a note about this. I'm gonna go ahead. This is how I blog, and oops, it's not really blogging. I call it note taking because it's not. The word blog's been totally ruined. So people have taken over and made it really stupid. so yeah. So plans for the future. So Robs.io will continue as is. Skillstack.io will become home to the Skill Stack. I'm making this spy font. That's how I'm doing. Will become home to the Skill Stack personal knowledge management app. Skills personal. What did I call it? Personal skills management app. And HTTPS rbx.gg will remain a free progressive knowledge base, progressive knowledge app. And that's a progressive knowledge app is just a knowledge base that is also a progressive web app with localized search capability. I was on the Jamstack conference yesterday, and it's amazed how many people don't do that. What country am I? I am in the United States. Yeah, unfortunately. So, I love America, but there's so many things I hate about America. particularly right now. And one of them being I haven't had insurance for 9 years. More than that, actually. Um, Neither is anybody in my family. It's really dangerous to live here. Mm. So, but one of the things I was thinking about is, so as I've been going through this, and here's, let me go back to this side, it's easier to read. So the stuff that I plan on helping people learn is still the same. It's just really compacted down. And the more organized it gets, the more I feel like this needs to have, I don't like the word book. I already know I have to write content for it. That's one thing. That includes video content. But yeah, if the content can also be built into a book, which is what we can do with the knowledge base, the CAN tools, that's what I'm going to be doing with that. Then we're going to go ahead and do that. So we have just the general course about becoming a Prescient tech professional. We have, workspace mastery, which is Linux terminal mastery. And I have never, ever been more felt more validated than reading all of this stuff that I've posted recently about the future of work. And 9 out of 10 hiring managers want people with Linux skills, and they don't want just general Linux skills. They want command line Linux skills. So sometimes I feel a little bit, out of sorts because I'm like forcing people to learn the command line, and they're like, no, we want to use our VS Code and everything else, and we don't want no stinking terminal. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm kind of apologetic about using the terminal. No more. I have like overwhelming objective evidence that is the fundamental skill to have going forward as an IT professional. So anybody who says that that's not true can go bite me, because I have objective evidence to the contrary. And that means that I feel totally justified and really, really doubling down on teaching workspace mastery of the Linux terminal, and that includes shell scripting. So this is where you'll get the first experience with scripting, but it'll also be where we learn Vim and links and everything. I've talked about it before in another video, but how does this work into a book? Well, let me keep going here. So back-end. So back-end programming can go as a first language, and I'm going to talk about that more in just a second. And front-end, web development fundamentals. So front-end development is kind of the thing at the end that we learn after you've learned to code and after you've learned to use the Linux terminal. And I'm never been more convinced that mastering the terminal and mastering a substantial programming language on the terminal are the absolute strongest foundations you can have. And that includes, understanding networking and stuff. Of all, they're just hands down, they're just the strongest thing. And the Linux Foundation has actually announced it's going to have a new certification called Entry-Level IT Associate. Here we go. This is coming out in November. I plan on getting it and helping people get it. But this is it's an edX thing. Their introduction to Linux has had over 10 million people go through it. It is their largest, it's like one of their largest edX things of all time. So it's right here, actually. They write about it. And these are actual courses you can take for free. So there are courses that go with this stuff that people can take. But in my oops, sorry for that. In my case, I have a little bit of bias, and I want to, not a little, but I want to teach people the extra Linux terminal mastery stuff that's not taught in those classes. So even though you could go out and get a certificate from all this, but this is what I'm going to do. So, and I plan on putting my own spin on all of this stuff. I as I've always said, I like going straight to the docs, reading from the specification for web or for Go. But the interesting thing is Go as a first language. So, and then I came across this quote. Let me see if anybody's saying anything there. You buy a bunch of them. Hey, Mastermind, great, welcome. Good to see you. So search edX links. Yeah, it's really, really good. I don't need to search it. I know it's there. I know it's there. There's like links to it. So, but the other thing, so this would be, these basically when I started out, this one has got me thinking about writing the book, and and I've started. I had become a polyglot programmer by learning to code in 7 languages. What was it? Was it a code master's first spell book? It was a cartoony thing started for kids, really young kids, and because I really believe a lot in making things funny and digestible. I am so against using fancy terms, and actually the Eloquent JavaScript author is really good. He does a good balance of keeping things kind of fun but also informative. I don't really know who he's writing to though. Sometimes I question his target audience. He is like, okay, are you writing to a 12-year-old and now you're writing to a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old? It's just I don't know. And so there's frankly, there's a lot of really great writing out there, but there's also a lot of undirected writing that loses the concept of its audience. And I'm a pretty good writer, and so that's something I've never really done. I've been meaning to do it a lot. So I'm in the process of putting this book together and finding a publisher, even though it'll probably be something like Starch Press, because I plan on never charging anything for any of my books. Anyway, so I don't know if this is overly ambitious. It's just December, fall change in the air. On my part, I might be, just like the beginner boost, I had to abandon that. I'm going to bring it back though. The beginner boost is coming back. It's just coming back in a different form. And hopefully it'll be much more focused. There's just too much to learn. So it's more a matter of chopping than it is, finding more stuff. Another thing too, so I should probably mention this. So the skillstack.io, this is currently my site for the people that I mentor in my community. And I have 2 openings actually right now, but I want to take on 25 at a time. And but this site will become the app, and there's an app with a GraphQL API that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. It's a namesake for SkillStack actually, and I have over 1,000 T-shirts that say "Learn to Code, Save the World" SkillStack.io that I plan on selling for $10. That will go with this, but I'm not going to start selling those until I get that app done, and then we can kind of promote this free open source app for managing your personal skills. And we can invest, I want all of these to be collaborative efforts as much as possible. So, so what about this book again? So what really got me into thinking about this, let me jump to the top here again, is this. And this, so why Go as a first language, right? And I came across this paragraph in Eloquent JavaScript, and it really sealed the deal for me. I was kind of on the fence about it, about whether to. I've been wanting to do Go as a first language for a very long time, and but then the question comes up: well, why? I was largely in the camp of like, well, hey, we want an easy language for people to learn, and that's why Python is so popular for beginners. And I used to, chafe at Java as a first language because, it's strictly typed and everything. But to tell you, I don't like Java at all, of course. But there's something to be said for learning a strict type language. And the author of Eloquent JavaScript, and let's give him due credit. I want to know, I forgot his name. I want to say it starts with an M. Yeah, Marijge Haverbeck, who's really great author, really great writing style. Anyway, he says in the introduction that he says, there are those who will say terrible things about JavaScript. Many of these things are true, and I would agree with that. And that's actually one of the reasons that I've been hesitant to teach JavaScript as a first language, not to mention Python. I think both of them have the same flaw. When I was required to write something in JavaScript for the first time, I quickly came to despise it. It would accept almost anything I typed, but interpret it in a way that was completely different from what I meant. And again, I'm not slamming JavaScript. It's got my favorite syntax for a scripting language, hands down. Still, this had a lot to do with the fact that I did not have a clue what I was doing, of course, but there is a real issue here. JavaScript is ridiculously liberal in what it allows. The idea behind this design was that it would make programming in JavaScript easier for beginnings, and then I added the emphasis. In actuality, it mostly makes finding problems in your programs harder because this system will not point them out to you. And that is exactly what a loosey-goosey duck typed, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it must be a duck language, is going to do to you. And you can go on the internet, on YouTube, and just see, wherever, and you can see hundreds of examples of where JavaScript does not do what you expect it to do. Like simple things that are just like really, really confusing. Not to mention the whole need for a triple equal sign for equality. Really. So, when you start to add up all those things from JavaScript, which up to, yesterday was going to be my first language that I teach everybody, outside of Bash, I should say. I do teach a little bit of Bash at the beginning just to get the idea of a loop and stuff. Then it needs to be done. The problem is that there are no good beginner books on Go, and I have gone through, I can say this actually now very definitively, I have gone through so much research on this, and I'm not, again, I am not slamming people who have tried. There's all the stuff that's out there. Most of these books I've read, I've either perused or read. And I mean, the Tour of Go, I sent two or three people this last week back through the Tour of Go, which if you go to go.dev is the number one way. I mean, this is just wrong. This is just, I can't tell you how wrong this is. So install and go, right? And by the way, this guide is really good. People should follow that. All right. Then they do a hello world, like a basic hello world in the playground. No problem there. Even though Replit would have been way better, because Replit, you can actually do interactive coding with it. Anyway, and then they give you the Tour of Go, which is not visible in any other kind of browser. And this seems like it's all nice and happy, but it's one of the worst tutorials I have ever seen. You get back onto this guy doing bitwise mathematics and all this stuff. It's like, it assumes that you know C. It assumes that you understand these really advanced concepts. This is a travesty. I love Go, but jumping from Hello World to the Tour of Go, I have overwhelming objective evidence that confuses the shit out of beginners. And you know what? They leave the language because of it, and it really pisses me off. And so then you have all these people try to like fill in the gaps, right? And you have this one, so if you don't know what you're doing, there's this one down here. Where is it? Go Bootcamp. So I'm sorry for your eyes. This looked really nice and happy. As one of my guys said, "Ooh, I'm going to do Go Bootcamp. It's like way better, right?" And then you get this. It completely ignores Go Mod because it's old. It's open source, but it's old, right? I mean, it's very simple to the point, and that's what got everybody happy because it's got a different target audience, obviously. And then it does things like there's no pointers, you can't do pointer arithmetic, which is a lie. I've actually started writing up a review of this. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just got problems, right? It's old, it's not maintained. It does do a little bit of concurrency, and it's basically just a website with links to other stuff, which is totally cool. And because this is 100% open source, you can take this resource and you can glean from it. But what I continue to fail to find anywhere is a good resource for a beginner that is not teaching you. This is why Eloquent JavaScript is so awesome. Okay, so the resource is not teaching you how to code in Go. It's teaching you how to program. So this is my take on it. This is kind of my reveal, I guess. But let me just let this save here. Go bash a book. Write a ABC book named a book in C. Didn't know you did this. I will send some people your way for one of the trainings. Oh, thanks, Mastermind. I appreciate that a lot. Go back. Java has strict typing and verbosity to add boilerplates. Yes. I just like it because the latter, not former. Yeah. Head First Go is actually a great book. Oh, Head First Go. I have it here, and I love the style of the Head First books. I've said that overwhelmingly a lot here. Unfortunately, the table with books on robs.io, you just have to scroll down from the main page. There's no books there yet. I'm working on that. I just committed that. So guys, that little thing I was just writing. So my site is one massive long text-based log. I don't pretend to think that that's the most elegant way to do it. It just works for me. And so yeah. So yeah, fetch some coffee, got some code in front of me, heard some plots. How's it going? I listened to Rob. There's nothing better than that. By the way, I hope my sound is coming through well. I had undergone my whole workstation has been redone, which is why I celebrated by putting stuff at the bottom. Anyway, so there's just a lot of trouble here in Bookland. And so, I look, because of the mentoring I do, and I was talking about that. I already have to have a kind of a handle on this, and I've got. I mean, I outlined the model, these steps earlier. This is my new official way to do this, and you don't have to be coming to me as a mentor to follow this path. And yeah, I noted. I blogged about this earlier, but I'm definitely going to do another diagram. I'm like obsessed with diagrams. They help me get my head around. I think I'm kind of a visual dude, and so they help me get my head around what's coming next, what to learn, and all that. And another thing I learned about this is that you can cycle through these things. So you can learn like level 1 PTP, terminal, Git, basic Git, backend, and Go. You can learn level 1 web development, and then you can rotate the whole thing and up it a notch, right? Okay, well, let's learn like pointers and bash, which is a thing actually, and exporting functions and all kinds of fun stuff. Let's learn concurrency and Go, and or let's learn, I don't know, like the HTTP, net HTTP library, or let's so you can like iterate over these things, and that's what I plan to do, and that includes beginning stuff. Anyway, just rambling off there, and so this is kind of, it also helps me check off boxes, and there's another effort that I'll come back to. I swear to God, I have not abandoned it, called the Open Credential. I really, really, really want to do open credentialing, and I'll save that for another day to talk about it. But I really believe that the whole industry could benefit from open credentialing. Even though we have great organizations like Linux Foundation, which is even doing more of these. And let me just say it again, pizza or pie. So let me just say that when we were talking about credentialing and stuff, I'm going to make a plug one more time for the upcoming new certification from Linux Foundation, which is 100% free. All of their certificates are free unless you take the test, which, that's always a tough thing, right? So they have, this is their Linux Foundation training. So this is different than LPIC, Linux Professional Institute, which I've recommended in the past. Somebody was asking me whether they should get certified in LPIC or if they should do Linux Foundation. And I currently don't have enough information to make that distinction, but my initial impression is that because there is optional money involved with the Linux Foundation training, that's more substantial, and there's more partners in here, IBM and others that are involved with Linux Foundation, that it tends to be up to date better, and that would, what I'm about to tell you is further confirmation of that. So this actually is a certified Kubernetes instructor or Kubernetes app developer. I got to tell you, that one made me salivate a little bit, because that's the kind of thing that you cannot easily prove to somebody. And getting getting a job is all about trust and establishing trust with whoever might be employing you. And if they're going to hire you to do Kubernetes, how do you establish trust? Well, hey, come look at my Kubernetes cluster that I have running in my cloud over here. Let me show you how cool I am. If you're a software developer, you could say that. Say, hey, look at my open source project contributions. See how cool I am. And so you can establish trust easier that way. When it's a Kubernetes application developer, you're like, well, let me show you my Kubernetes app that I made. Oh, wait, I can't. So things that are harder to prove tend to be more prone to getting certificates, like, electrical engineering, that kind of thing. So anyway, there's a certified Kubernetes security specialist. That one really, really, I mean, these are all sorts. I have nothing to do with Open Linux Foundation. I've never certified. I plan on it. But if I get it, it's because I'm going to help people get theirs. And here we go. So this is the one that they just announced. It was just in the news last week. This is coming out in November. And this is called the Certified IT Associate. And the exam is $300, but the class is free. And this is in the space of, and there's a write-up on ZDNet about this, so I'll have to go find, but I tweeted about it if you want to go find that. But the really cool thing about this is that this is right in the same space as A+, except for it's Linux centric and better. we had a guy go get his A+, and but how about that video on YT, how Linux Foundation director uses macOS? I haven't seen that at all, Feckles Rat. I'll have to go look at that. I don't know. Go Lane joke. He goes to slice. It is definitely a slice of pizza or slice of pie. Very good. Yeah. I've played with Kubernetes, but I wouldn't look. This is part of my skills management tool, Skills Stack that I'm going to build. So if I would give on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I made it. So I call it the Google scale because no proprietary disclosure there. When I did interview with Google once upon a time, they asked me to rate myself on several things. 5 being that I had written books on it and had conferences in it, and yeah, okay, K3S. We did play with that actually. I didn't get to, but Whitman, who's now employed at 18, doing that stuff he's Whitman. Are you out there? One of my guys, but yeah, so yeah, lots to talk about there. I don't remember what I was talking about, but so yeah, there's just a lot going on the Kubernetes front. So yeah, I've always wanted to get into that. And so this was just a quick session. I might actually break it and go get some more coffee. If Rob fixed his internet, sounds like I did. Barnesy, I have missed issues with IRC layer on Twitch. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. Theoretically, everything should be fine. It just doesn't receive any messages. I'd love to learn how to be a better Golang dev, really. Okay, so currently in DevOps, yeah, and that's a regular thing. And so actually, I want to mention that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Spy. That brings me back a little bit. So the books that I'm planning on writing, they will be books, even though they'll be published for free online, and they won't be in book form online. They're going to be knowledge bases, and then the knowledge base will be rendered as a book. And that's how I plan on doing everything, which is why my Pagan and my EasyMark and all my other initiatives are so important, because I can't do any of that until they're done. And then, Greg and others are here going, well, why aren't you working on it right now, Barnesy? Well, I will. I promise. I got to still do a lot of packing today. We got all of the empty thing to move over. But anyway, the one thing I am really sold on doing with the book is first of all giving it kind of a colloquial feel and tone. I don't want it to be, and more importantly than all of that, teaching to program and approaching it from learning how to program and not and develop, as opposed to just teaching you Go. Okay, so the biggest problem we have is that there's not a lot of beginner programming books that are good. I go through books like crazy, and I read them, I evaluate them, and all that. And there's not a lot of really good programming books teaching you not just programming, but teaching you how to do development. And honestly, a lot of these books, I think DevOps Squad, I think a lot of us are not taught these things because, unless maybe in college at the upper level, but that, a lot of people learn by example. And there won't be a lot of reading here, by the way. So this is actually, I do a lot of challenge-based learning, and every one of these sections has challenges in it. You know what? You don't have to feel bad about that, by the way. Can I just mention something? Teaching top-down design, problem decomposition. Yes, exactly, Acerbic. That kind of stuff is super boring unless you are working on a problem and you want to talk about the problem, right? The Linux command line, is that right? Yeah. That Linux command line book is the one I recommend, and I have recommended to a lot of people. That William Schatz book? It's actually free, by the way. The problem with that book is that when you start learning Bash scripting, it starts to teach you 1990s CGI, and it starts to put 20 echo statements for a single HTTP response. It's really, 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 really dated. It's also the only Linux book I've ever found that covers Bash 4 and above, which includes arrays and pointers and maps and all that stuff. And so for that reason, I thought it would be good. But you can tell that they didn't update certain chapters of the book that have been around for years. Years. Why would you ever write a CGI script? And so I actually threw it out. And that's what we got on that thing, and that's what killed the boost. Because I was like, I can't go with this book anymore. And so I end up getting sucked into writing my own things, and I've got a whole bunch of language challenges built up over the years. that are a lot like Exorcism that teach all the fundamentals. So if people want to do challenge-based learning, they can just do that. But the goal for me is to have 3 books, or 4 books actually, and to a book, becoming a, I don't know if that'll be the name, but Becoming a Prescient Tech Professional, Linux Terminal Mastery, Programming Goes the First Language, and Web Development Fundamentals. These will be my 3 books that will iterate. We'll have 1, 2, and 3, so that they kind of build up. Easy marketing, etc. What are the plans on the boosts and projects? That's what I'm talking about, Barnsey. So I have to try to figure out how they all fit together. I will say this: I can't proceed a lot on any of the book authoring until EasyMark and Pagan are finished. Now I can certainly write all the markdown for it, but the composition, what I've done is I've anticipated the model for how I'm going to write all the content, and then that content can be brought together into a book at some point once I get Pagan, EasyMark, and KN all finished. So those are all efforts that I think need to happen concurrently. But, well, or not. Another possibility is I just work on one thing at a time. But I already need to kind of update I need to do this regularly, by the way. So for skillstack.io to stay relevant, this is why I stayed small, by the way, for me to teach all of these things, backend API data delivery, introducing C device programming, cyber, Kubernetes Rancher. In order to mentor on all these things, I have to keep up to date, which means that I have to add in some sort of iterative educational cycle for this stuff, even within SkillStack, so I can help those. And I've had a couple new people come in. As I said, I got 2 or 3 openings right now, but I had a couple of people come in. One of the persons who just joined us, I won't give away anything about them, but they are an engineer wanting to learn how to code. And they've got engineering experience, but they have no coding experience. So, and if you're familiar with the term SRE, that's a really important thing. You really got to have that. But so let's go back to the books here and the coding thing. Because the one thing I really was inspired by with the Eloquent JavaScript book is that Martin is writing about programming. He's not writing about JavaScript. He's writing about programming. And so he approaches the whole thing from the idea of, I am going to be simply reboot everything. I'm going to be programming. And I hopefully this is captured in this initial outline that I'm doing here. So computers are just things that follow instructions. I really want to take this in a way that I'm going to use 12 or 13 as my cutoff. Okay, so you have got to have gone through algebra and stuff. That's going to be my target audience. My target audience is a 12 to 80-year-old. And I'm going to write it that way. I'm not going to be too silly, but I'm going to write it that way. And that's what the HeadForks books have going for them, I think, is that they have these mnemonic devices inside of them that help you to really remember it. Yeah. So anyway, so computers are just things that follow instructions. What's the difference between from programming and development? Programming is telling a computer what to do. Developing is telling humans what a computer should do. Compiling human instructions into machine language. A note about binary language. That's a reference to Star Trek C-3PO being an interpreter and what scripting languages are all about and why they're different than compiled languages. So we're going to go into this saying, hey, this book is about giving instructions to your computer and writing those instructions in a way that other humans will best understand. That is the act of software development. That's what it is. And people don't get into that. And I just really want to hit on that like they do here, like he does with Eloquent JavaScript. And I'll give him full credit for inspiring me in that regard. But I've always taught this way. I mean, and we get down into bytes and bits, organizing your instructions. And this is pretty much the outline for the whole book. Everything's a thing. Things have types and properties. Things do stuff. Things react to events and environments. Things work together, one thing at a time, at the same time. This is all how stuff works, and then this gets broken down. The Go language, and then there's an initial introduction section. Beginners to learn networking. Beginners will learn networking as well, but the networking that we learn here is not... The problem with networking, and this is a problem I've faced quite a bit actually, is where do you put it? And the fact of the matter is that I believe that it's going to probably go here. Uh, there's a little bit of how the internet works in my present technology professional, and there's a little bit of how the internet works here, and there's a little bit of how the internet works here. There needs to be basic networking, but as a networking for beginners is not something that I've ever been inclined to write a book about. I think there's a lot of content for networking out there, so I don't feel inclined to do that, even though we will talk about it a lot. But if from the sense of somebody who's making, if you're going to become an engineer, then a network engineer or a security engineer, yeah, you got to learn networking, right? But I kind of want to focus on being able to use the network, know how to use it, what it's about, learn use a workspace, Linux terminal, learning how to code, and then knowing how to do web stuff, and then from there jumping off into whatever else that is needed. And that's we've covered that in jobs. Where is it? Human computer languages, Bash, learning ability, subscript language. For this is why Bash should be your first language. This is, yeah. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to find the jobs. I think this was broken last time. Oh, here we go. So jobs, target occupations you can get. So all of these jobs need we talked about this before in the boost. All of these jobs need these main things: how to manage yourself, how to manage your workspace, how to manage the back end of a project, and how to develop for the front end of a project. That's it. If you want to call that full stack, fine. I don't. I hate that term. But the truth is, this is full stack, right? This is the current popular definition of full stack. The only difference is that your back end language is Go and not Node or some shit like PHP. And Go, HTTP cert. No, it's a Jamstack. My stuff is all on Jamstack. So this is all being hosted on Netlify. Through every time I commit, it automatically gets pushed. It's all static site generation that I've built with Pandoc and Bash scripts. You can go see them too if you want to go out there and look in my peek around. So then what? Then we're going to do Go programming. We'll get ourselves all set up and go. I'm not going to go into detail about how to do the installation and all that. That's something you should be able to figure out. And it also changes a lot, so it doesn't lend itself well to making, to making a lot of stuff like instructions. As soon as I write instructions for 1.13, they're going to be out of date, or 1.15, right? So I'd rather you go read about that and just get your own. And that's actually one of the things that's killed most of the resources I've read. Great videos on Cisco and on the library now. Oh, on LBRY, yeah. I've thought about going on to LBRY. Do you know, do they have a Restream connection? I don't think they do. Does LBRY have a Restream connection? The Agile and soft skills, the Agile Scrum soft skills, I don't have anywhere in here, Moz, and because this is why I don't have them here. Because I do think they're sort of the PTP stuff, but your own personal project management. So that, this is you're touching on one of the boundaries that I've struggled with. Because if you try to teach people Agile process or how to do all of that, and then it gets complicated, right? Because you can do, you could go which methodology do you cover, right? So but it would be fair. This is why it's a problem, because it would be fair to say that. Oh, why is dark mode on? Turn that off. Themes, presets. Oh, did you guys see that there's a new CSS thing for setting dark mode? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It says 2020 fall info Linux wing lecture 1. Which Go user Go? I have Go. Okay, yeah, it's almost like politics. Just playing devil's advocate here is worth writing a book, but if by the time it's on the shelf, it's almost outdated. Yeah, and that's you guys. You're preaching to the choir on that. This is why I'm doing the knowledge net. The reason I have never actually written a book, and I don't like even using the word book, is because it's so out of date. So if you call it whatever you want, but this is going to be a living knowledge base. It will have its own, book site knowledge base that's locally searchable. You can download to your phone, that you can make into anything you want. You can convert it to PDF, you can convert it into whatever, and it will always be there, and it will always be maintained, and I will constantly be changing it. And the fact that it gets printed into Pack Publishing or someplace and gets a printed form will be secondary, and always for those people who just feel more comfortable with a book, which, I feel sorry for you if that's it. Yeah, books and a website. And this model, by the way, is not new. I've kind of frowned on it in the past. I'm like, well, really, do you really want to promote? Do you really ethically, what if everybody sold a piece of paper book and then changed it the next month? That's not very ethical. What if everybody did that? That's my judgment criteria. And I don't like that, but some people still very much read from books and Kindle and stuff like that. So, and that's exactly what William Schatz did with his book. His book is the Linux Command Line. A lot of people don't know, and I didn't. I bought 2 copies of the book at full price, and then found out the entire thing was free online. I was like, whoops. So, does it with his PDF releases for Ansible? Yeah. I find it easier to read a Dead Tree book and keep attention on it. I like to read some books. Yeah, me too. And you know what? And I need to be open to that possibility. If somebody wants to do that, they can pay the extra money for it. But if they want to come in and get the freshest stuff, I think the most important thing is that I ethically, I could not get into bookmaking until I had a way for people to see immediately when the data updated. To me, it seems unethical to put a book out that covers Go 1.12 and then never update it at all, and have people pay the $30 and say, okay, you want Go, 1.15, you got to pay another $40. To me, that just is unethical. I know that's the way the world works. I just don't like it at all. So that has always torpedoed my desire to ever get to the part where I make a book. Even though I've started them, God knows I've started them so many times. I've just been going through my stuff digitally and finding it all. Yeah, I've got like some 40 Python challenges that I need to convert over into Go. And that's another reason I'm sticking with Go, because in the past, the other books I started, the one I started, I had JavaScript, Python, and Go at the same time. And I coded all the projects in all 3 languages so that people could see the difference between the languages. And it's just too big of a book. That's another reason I stopped on them. So I was thinking there's no way this is ever going to get printed. And this one I'm writing right now is likely to be rather long. So magazine instead of a book. Maybe. I mean, I don't. I've thought about doing guides and stuff. LeanPub. I've heard about LeanPub. Yeah. A lot of people use LeanPub. I have researched every self-publishing platform at least 5 times during the course of the last 8 years. Gitbook, LeanPub, all of them, and I hate them all. The thing I hate about them is that they are not I hate the book paradigm. Can I just be real? I think the book paradigm is broken. I think the idea of a chapter book is it might be good for organizing some of the topical guides and stuff, but that's not how our brains work. Our brains are networked. There's what's that German site? And that's really what the Knowledge Net is all about. Is it's like pulling together knowledge nodes in different combinations and orders so that you can. This is why hyperlinking became a thing, right? Hypertext, because this is how your brain works. Your brain does not blogs. First of all, what is a blog? Hey, Laction. So blogs are kind of all over the place, and read a whole books, no, they don't really, right? They bounce around through the books, and I think we just need to embrace the fact that we bounce around through the books. And yeah, and I'm not a fan of the anyway. So yeah, but it is a good way to organize your thoughts. The biggest problem with doing any kind of book is that you never know how people are going to come to it. Right. It does organize all of the stuff and make sure it's comprehensive, but it's also doesn't have exercises in it. It doesn't encourage you to use challenges, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, just everybody should know that whatever Carlos says go on, but they make me passive and want to read. See, this is the thing. So we're getting on, I go so bizarrely arranged like a wild forest with no paths. You just walk for the forest and hope for the best. Yes, and so Acerbic, this is okay. So what you're both of you are tapping on the same issue, and I've written about this before, but I believe the one true way to do this is to have a two-pronged approach. And I believe this is in your education as well. You need a comprehensive beginning to end thing that is generally going to be passive in reading and stuff like that. And that could be a book, it could be Udemy, it could be whatever. You need something comprehensive. And then you need something that's challenge based, that's project based, that is hands on, that engages you, that jumps around, that tests your skills, that causes you to fail fast and early so you can see where your failures are, and you can, it's basically exercise driven, exercises, projects, and all this stuff. And if you look at, I mean, they've been doing this forever, right? Math is in particular a good case of that. You read math, you read about the topic, but how long do you spend in there? Most of the time you're spending answer the exercises until you get stuck and can't understand the concept. Then you go back and try to understand what this professor wrote in his high-minded bombastic vernacular, and then you try to read it and try to put it together and do something with the stuff. But interactively helps you understand the process. So I believe that there very strong case to be made for both comprehensive and wildly go through the whole path of what you're gonna do there. And there's lots of ways to get through anything. For 14 months in the making. I love your tic-tac-toe game, Acerbic. It's so awesome. This is your personal project. Yeah, it's so awesome. In case anybody doesn't know, Truly Acerbic has been writing probably the coolest tic-tac-toe game I've ever seen. He literally put as much complexity in it as possible. It reminds me a lot of like those like memes where it's like how to exit VI in the most complicated way. His tic-tac-toe game has got like, how many technologies do you have in it now? It's like, have you put it on a Kubernetes cluster yet? Can I suggest that? Like, in addition to all the other stuff that you put in there, like you also have to use a Kubernetes cluster to run it, make every move a microservice. How would that be? Yeah, Bash Street Kids, all grown up, characters like the twins, VM Grip. Oh wow, listen to you say that's a great kind of fun thing. Docker, dude, it is so funny. I know, it's like Set and Awk and others. Yeah, I don't even like Set and Awk, but we'll talk about that another day. It's already a 5-server stack. Are you kidding? Oh, see, that's just developer humor. That's just developer humor. And people like Acerbic could like code circles around me. I mean, when they get going on something, they're done with it in like two minutes, right? So I am Hack Gibson. Things do stuff. How's that for a chapter? I'm so proud of these chapter headings, by the way. Basically, the more offensive my chapter is to someone who writes a textbook, the better. The more I have succeeded. The more I have said fuck you to academic writing, because I am just so tired of it. I just hate it. I hate with an H. I hate it. I just hate it. Sorry. If that's if you've written that way, there's only one person you're writing for. You're writing either for yourself, or you're writing for yourself to make money, because you're writing for the people who are going to approve your book in an environment that's going to put it in front of everybody else. And I understand academic formality in terms of papers and stuff like that. I get it. I don't understand forcing a bunch of children to in a college to go through your most confusing stuff, naming things. Oh, I completely agree. So things do stuff. Things work together. I refuse to use the word object in here at all. I might use the word object in here at one point. Yeah. What you say? How do you know that you're smarter than them? Exactly, Acerbic. It's like, here's another thing. What if you don't speak English as your first language? Things go brrr. Exactly. So things do stuff. Things work together. Things break. How about that? Things break down. Oh, I'm so sorry. I, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like things go boom. Things go boom. That is perfect. Okay, Spydraw, you're gonna get listed in my contributors list. Here we go, contributors. All right, we gotta put Spydog at Spydog. I mean, why not make it a collaborative thing, right? So anybody who wants to get in on this, I have no problem having you join our contributors list. If I sell it for paper, I'm going to get the money though, just so you know. I don't, I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. If this actually goes to Pack Publishing and gets printed, I'm going to try to support this live streaming habit of mine through this, and that includes hopefully affording insurance one day. And so yeah. Anyway, and so yeah, and this is one of my favorite ways to approach this. This has never been done that I've read, is explaining everything in terms of ones and zeros and bits and bytes, and then going up from there. It's just everything else is just a matter of how you look at it. It's how you look at it. It's so yep. Certified guinea pig. Yeah, that'd be fun. And then we could do all the stuff. I've got again, I've got so many. How to exit Vim, the 14 contextual dependent steps. You found it. You did. You found it. Thank you for finding that for us. Oh my God. Exiting Vim. Eventual consistency. That's a thing now. Yeah. Eventual, because I heard all about that on Jamstack last night. Or 2 days ago. The Jamstack conference was 2 days ago, guys. Go watch all that stuff. It kind of scared me. Anyway, this video is kind of winding down, obviously, and I'm gonna go take a break. I don't know how much I'll be able to come back today. If I do come back, I'm gonna be working on the new pagan style, which is so awesome. That's the one thing about walking and moving, is that it really allows you to organize your thoughts about code when it's started in easy mode. Isn't that funny? Yeah, we don't do nothing, but it's so fun. Well, I think, thank you. I think, I have fun over here, and it does impact my, hey Mac, it does impact my, my ability to deliver on my own goals. And then I spend, an hour talking about my goals and no time working on them, which is another problem I have. I won't lie. I do a lot of planning because I feel if you don't plan, I am definitely moved, but we need to spend at least today and tomorrow getting all the other crap out of the house and cleaning it up, patching walls and stuff. But thank God the internet finally works. That's something that was super annoying. You turn off the main power. Yeah. No furniture. No, actually, it's colder here. So yeah, I'm all flanneled up. I got my official SkillStack hoodie on. I've got my, maybe someday I'll give you guys a peek. Yeah. How about Dusty B having fun with me right now. Like, what did you say? No, it's like, can't do that. We have fish. The fish are still here, just in case you're wondering. And look, these are all just goals. And as you know, I change my mind constantly. And I reserve the right to change my mind. That is something that is needed. So yeah, array and a slice sent incoming. Hence flip flop Rob. Yes, you remembered. Yes, one of my kids Minecraft kids actually, who grew up into quite a decent programmer. Would never leave Python though. He was so addicted to Python. Suggesting he quit anything besides Python just pissed him off. It was so funny. In fact, he's the one really objective yet sort of anecdotal, case that convinced me. He and there's one other case. He would literally. Oh yeah. We did. So you need to understand, this is actually a problem I have, right? So all 30 of my challenges are all Monty Python based. almost all of them, because we learned in Python. So we did memes. We would code Bridgekeeper. Bridgekeeper, by the way, is a really great way to teach anybody about if statements and nesting and top-down recursion and just descent-based programming logic and that kind of thing. Listening in. Oh yeah. Well, thanks QMacro for coming on in. I am on YouTube and stuff's being saved at Tori and Periscope these days too. So seeking as many opportunities to get out the good word as possible. Even did the right thing and had to write an email to drop my affiliate. So if you're wondering why I can't subscribe anymore, I actually asked to drop my affiliate and all my subs and everything. I don't know, people are like, what the fuck? Why? I also have to stop swearing because it's now public. So yeah, anyway, lots of good stuff coming, and I'm super excited. The hardest part for me is going to be, oops, I probably shouldn't have doxed that one. Oh well. And it's still subbed. You know what? I don't know how. The problem is you can't unsub. This is the problem. We're going to have to send them. You might have to write to them because apparently it's so unusual. Subsystem tools and Linux have been infected with Python code adding dependency. Yes, I completely and totally agree with you, Mac. You have no idea how much I agree with you. Yep. I would maybe not have said it as strongly, but I definitely agree with that statement. And so, yeah. Yep. It seems like I'm just doing my cleanup here. So just to recap, just stay tuned. There's a lot going on. What's going to happen at the beginning? What's going to happen first? What's going to get my priority attention? And frankly, I have to split my time across those things. But I will commit to one thing. I will be adding some amount of beginner content starting next week. So what is that content going to be? How is it going to be organized? I don't know. If it's nothing more than just me streaming beginner topics, live stream. The other thing too is I'm not going to spend any extra time cleaning up my stream or all of that stuff. I'm not going to put my face on the stream. I'm not going to fancy it up. I'm just going to cover beginner topics and you'll notice them. And then what I plan to do is just kind of link to those beginner topics as we go along and then just kind of build on them that way. And then that way, updated on Discord and Twitter too. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you go to Twitter, on my Twitter now, and there's people dropping like flies because of this, my Twitter automatically streams every time I push the button here to start live streaming. So if you follow my Twitter, you'll see every stream that I do, and you can actually go to Twitter and watch it. And I was really impressed by Restream on this thing. I have nothing to do with them officially, but I'm not willing to pay their $50 a month though. So yeah, if you click on your profile, you see here's me streaming here live. Yay. And in fact, it's one of the reasons I put the words down here, because when they're up here, you can't quite see them as well. It's a little bit messed up. So yeah, you can like it. I liked my own thing. That's like a note. You're not supposed to do that. 0 viewers right now. It's funny because I had people have stopped viewing this. Some of the other stuff I did, on average, I have 40 viewers on YouTube. It's insane. I mean, on Twitch, on Twitter. And yeah, so this is super important that I get this topic right. And I'm going to make sure to do that. I also have to be really careful because if I put a hashtag in here, it gets retweeted, and I don't want to retweet, unnecessarily kind of thing. So that is a thing. There is a Twitter for you to go watch if you want to keep up on that. In December, you can't Santa Rob. I might. You never know. I definitely have the beard for it right now. Until infinity small. Yeah. Yeah, it is looking at yourself. I've done that many times. It's pretty fun. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and can this stream for tonight. and I might be back right away. I might not, to do some pagan stuff. Just make sure to pay attention to the titles, and if you want to go back and ever watch some of the old stuff, it's always on YouTube, or on Periscope. All right, it's been fun. We shall see you again. It's good to see some of you guys.